Okay, hello class. Today we're going to be recording your finals. Um, they're Q&As. So hopefully you've already done your speed building on your own. And on your 120 number 1, you've got Alice Maxwell, Miss Maxwell, Independence Avenue, Northwest Highway, Family Resale Center, and Fred Maxwell. And so this is going to be Q&A 120 number 1, and it does start at the very beginning for 5 minutes. Will you give us your full name, please?
Alice Maxwell.
Is it Miss or Mrs. Maxwell?
It is Ms. Maxwell.
What is your home address, Ms. Maxwell?
1950 Independence Avenue.
And what is your business address, please?
It is 1145 Northwest Highway.
What is the name of your business?
It is called the Family Resale Center.
How long has this been a going concern?
For 12 years.
Who is connected with you in this business?
My brother.
What is his name?
Fred Maxwell.
Is your brother interested in any other business besides this one?
Well, he has a part-time job.
Miss Maxwell, what kind of business is the Family Resale Center?
We deal in used clothing.
Do you yourself buy used clothing and sell it, or are you an agent for other people?
We buy some of it on our own, and some of it we handle on consignment.
Do you handle anything besides used clothing?
That's it, mostly.
Now, I understand that there was some plaster deterioration in the property that you leased for your business.
There certainly was.
How long had that plaster been in that condition before it caused any difficulty?
There wasn't any that I noticed.
I don't think you understand my question. I would like to know how long the plaster had been in poor condition before they started to repair the damage.
It was done immediately.
How long was the condition there? That's what I want to know.
They did it in just 2 or 3 days. The damage was just before that.
It is my understanding that the work was done the latter part of February. Is that correct?
That's right.
It goes without saying that there was damage to the plaster before that date in order to need repairing. Is that correct?
It was just 2 or 3 days prior.
Ms. Maxwell, I am trying to find out how long this plaster had been deteriorating.
It was just 2 or 3 days. I called the agent and he didn't waste any time. He came right over.
I am talking about the damaged plaster, not the damage you sustained.
I know. I realize that. You are asking me how long the condition was unrepaired, aren't you?
How long did it need repairing as far as you know?
Just a couple of days. I notified the agent right away.
Was there a water leak that might have caused the plaster to get loose? Or was there a dry cracking? Or did it just happen very suddenly?
I didn't make any search or investigation. I just noticed it and called the agent.
Where was the damage in the store?
It was mostly in the room where we have our stock, but also in the entranceway.
Now, do you claim any damage in the main showroom?
No.
What do you use the stockroom for?
We keep incoming stock there.
Do you use this room for displaying merchandise?
Yes, in a way. We take customers in there and show them things they might like that we have not yet put in the main room.
Miss Maxwell, you said the damaged plaster was repaired the latter part of February. Is that right?
That's right.
Upon whose request was the plaster repaired?
Mine.
And this was after you called someone.
Yes, it was after I called the agent.
And the agent had it repaired?
Yes.
Did anybody come in and inspect the damage before they repaired it?
Yes. There were people looking at it most of the day.
Can you tell us how? And then your second 120, you have Mr. Young, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murphy, Park Avenue, Murphy's, Mr. and Mrs. Murphy. And this is 120 Q&A number 2, and it starts right in the middle for 5 minutes. Final exam. Mr. Young, how long have you known Mr. Murphy?
I have known him since 1980,
How long have you known Mrs. Murphy?
since they were married in 1990.
Have you ever gone out with Mr. Murphy?
He used to come up to my apartment quite often.
Do you play cards with him occasionally?
Yes, sometimes.
Are you part of the circles of friends that he plays cards with?
Yes, sir.
How often do you play cards with him, Mr. Young?
I don't know exactly.
How many times a week would you say?
I would say once or twice a month.
Do you play at your home?
Sometimes.
Have you been subpoenaed to be here in court today?
Yes, sir.
Do you have your subpoena with you?
No, I left it at home
When were you subpoenaed?
last Saturday.
Mr. Young, had you ever been to the home of Mr. Murphy prior to June 19
At his home where?
on Park Avenue?
No, sir.
Did Mr. Murphy ask you to make a delivery for him on June 19?
Yes. He asked me to deliver a couch.
Where was the couch to be picked up?
I didn't pick it up. After he had the fight with his wife and she ordered him to leave, I just drove him over to his place of business.
Did you deliver the couch at a later date?
No, I did not.
Do you know who delivered the couch?
I don't know.
As a matter of fact, the couch was in his place of business. Is that right?
That is right.
What time did the Murphys ordinarily open their place of business?
About 8:30.
Was Mrs. Murphy there every morning?
I don't know.
You said you used to see Mrs. Murphy there all the time?
I said I used to see Mr. Murphy quite often.
Did you ever go back to Park Avenue after June 19?
No.
So you were at Park Avenue on one occasion. Is that right?
I was there several times.
This was prior to June 19,
Yes,
but you were never there after June 19.
I was not.
Do you know that Mr. and Mrs. Murphy entered into a separation agreement?
Yes, I know about it.
When you came to pick up Mr. Murphy on June 19, didn't you just stay in your truck while you were waiting for him?
No, I did not.
Wasn't Mr. Murphy waiting for you?
He was not. I didn't know I was supposed to pick him up.
Do you recall getting out of your truck and going onto the porch?
I do.
Was it an enclosed porch?
It was not an enclosed porch.
Was there any furniture on the porch?
I don't remember.
Let us understand each other. You have been in this house. Is that correct?
I said I was never inside the house. I was just on the porch.
Was it an open or a closed porch?
I don't remember. I know it was a porch.
Was it an open porch?
I don't remember. I passed by the house many times, but I don't remember whether it was an open or a closed porch.
We are speaking about the porch of the house that you walked into when you overheard this conversation between Mr. and Mrs. Murphy. Was it an open porch or a closed porch?
I told you before that I don't remember whether it was an open or a closed porch.
Do you walk up any steps to get to this porch?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall opening the door? And so we'll get ready for your 100s if you want to clear your memory. And so you have proper names on your 100. Number 1, Lillian Conway, Mrs. Conway, Central Avenue, Certified Market, Mrs. Morris, Salem, Defendant's Exhibit number 2. And this is going to be 100, number 1, for 5 minutes Q&A, and it starts at the very beginning for 5 minutes final. Will you give us your name for the record?
Lillian Conway.
Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
What is your address, Mrs. Conway?
8266 Central Avenue.
Are you employed?
Yes.
Where?
At the Certified Market.
Were you employed there at the time it was held up on the 12th day of January?
Yes, I was.
Were you working with Mrs. Morris at that time?
Yes, I was.
You were tending the other cash register. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will you tell us what this individual did when he approached your cash register?
First, he went and got a carton of Salem cigarettes.
Salem?
Right. He put the cigarettes on the counter by the cash register and then told me to open it. He had a gun pointed at me. I opened the cash register and then he took the tray.
He reached over and took the tray?
Yes.
With which hand?
I imagine it would be his left.
He was holding the gun in his right hand?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of gun it was?
No, I don't.
It was a handgun of some kind?
Yes.
Did you notice any distinguishing features about this robber?
Well, he had a black eye. It was bruised or something.
Which eye was it?
It was his left eye.
He had a bruised left eye. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any question in your mind that it was a bruise, as opposed to being painted on in some way?
No, it was definitely a bruise.
Was it new or did it appear to be a couple of days old?
It could have been a couple of days old.
Did you notice anything else about his face?
Well, he needed a shave and he had a mustache.
Could you say when he shaved last?
I couldn't tell.
When he took the cash tray, Did you observe anything unusual about his hands?
No.
Were you shown photographs from time to time for the purpose of ascertaining whether or not you could pick out a photograph of the person you believed might be the robber?
Yes.
Did you at any time pick out a photograph of the person you thought might be the robber?
Yes, I did.
Did you do that on one occasion or more than one?
I think it was just one.
I am showing you what has been marked for identification as Defendant's Exhibit number 2. I ask you whether or not this is the photograph that was picked out by you.
I don't think I picked that one out.
You don't.
I don't think so.
All right. Did you at some time view a lineup?
Did I what?
Did you view a lineup in which this defendant was present?
Yes.
Was that with a couple of other ladies?
Yes.
At that time, did you state that you felt this defendant was the person who had committed the robbery,
Yes.
with the possible exception of the, and then you have 100 Q&A number 2, final. Anti-repeat is hyphenated. Daniel Wells, Robert Walker, September, Hutchinson, Mr. Benson, and Mr. Walker. And this is going to be 100 number 2. I put on for 5 minutes, you all. Starts in the middle. Who installed the press?
I really don't know.
Is the actual setting up of a press ordinarily done by the customer?
Yes.
What about anchoring the press? Do you know who did it in this case?
Anchoring is optional on a press.
Is there a charge for anchoring?
I wouldn't know. We never get involved in anchoring the press.
What documents accompanied the press when it was shipped to Hutchinson?
A parts manual and a book of operating instructions. Also, a booklet on care and maintenance.
How is this material delivered to the customer?
It is inserted into the electrical control panel of the press prior to shipment.
Do you know if, in fact, it was done in this case?
Yes, it was.
Now, your presses are designed and manufactured so they do not accidentally repeat. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
What is the purpose of this anti-repeat device?
To prevent the press from going into a continuous mode of operation.
Now, once the press was delivered, did it come under regular servicing procedure by Watson Press?
No.
Any servicing is done only on request of the customer?
Yes.
At that time, how many men worked in your service department that made outside calls?
2 men usually went on outside calls.
What were their names?
Daniel Wells and Robert Walker.
Are they still with the company?
Yes.
Prior to the accident, were various service calls made relative to the press at Hutchinson?
I believe 3 service calls were made.
Do you know how these 3 requests for service were made? By that, I mean, did you receive a letter or a phone call?
We got a telephone call.
Do you know who received those calls at Watson Press?
I would have received them.
When was the first call?
I would not be able to say exactly, but it was sometime in September.
What was the gist of the conversation?
They wanted somebody to check the press.
Did you make a record of that call?
No.
What action did you take?
I asked my secretary to make out a bill of lading for the service call.
Was this bill of lading then given to one of your servicemen?
Yes.
Who?
Daniel Wells.
Then he made an inspection sometime in September. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, what written record or document did he complete relative to that inspection?
He would have had the bill of lading signed by somebody at Hutchinson, and then he would bring it back to the plant.
Would he make out any written report?
No.
Did he tell you what he did?
He told me the press was in good working order. He said that the bolt for the left-hand gib was hitting the knockout bar, and he made an adjustment to correct the problem.
Mr. Benson, about how many service calls would Mr. Wells and Mr. Walker make in a year?
Mr. Walker would make about 100, and Mr. Wells would make about.
Okay, so that concludes your test, you all. Make sure you all practice, that you register for your class on time, and keep on practicing on those machines, okay? Have a great day.